Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be a video about how to play pocket kings. And the question of how to play pocket kings is actually a philosophical poker question, and it touches deep into what's so beautiful about the game. Because when you get dealt kings, your brain instantly gets flooded with this feeling of happiness and potential. And I'm going to win money. It's going to be a great hand. Like a good thing just happened. But the way poker works is everything holds until the cards get dealt out, right? That's how Hold'em works. So just because you got kings, you might get a bad flop. What do you do with kings with a bad flop? Well, what do you do if you have a beautiful singing voice and you're very talented and you practice your entire life, but you find yourself in a place where everyone is deaf or singing is banned or so? I'm sorry for getting so metaphorical, but just because it's kings doesn't mean it's going to win a big pot. Everything is dependent on everything else. So just like 5-6 suited usually misses, sometimes you flop a straight flush. Kings, more often than not, is going to win the hand. But fairly often it's not going to want a big pot and it's not going to be a very strong hand. So a hand like pocket kings, even though it is a premium hand pre-flop, once you see a flop, the value changes between still premium, right? Still strong, overpair, super premium, where maybe it's overpair on a disconnected rainbow board, or it's top set or something like this, or a medium strength hand if an ace comes or the board is too connected. So we want to differentiate and let go of our preconceived notion of what kings has the potential to do and see what it can actually do. And the key to playing kings is to take that in really deeply, and it's a principle and a thought that will help you in poker in general in a lot of spots, is constantly reevaluating how much is your hand worth, given the board and the action, etc., etc. So yeah, we're going to take a look at a few different situations. These are not specifically filtered, and just take a look at what can happen with kings. So here's one hand. These are all played between very good players. So cutoff phrases, we 3-bet with kings. Cutoff calls, we get a 4-4 queen two-tone board. In this situation, amazing board for kings. When you re-raise your opponent, he's less likely to have low cards after calling, but also just the 4 misses him a lot. So we're not losing to very much. We very often are ahead. We want to get tons of money in. And we decide to start out with a check because, we're out of position. And when you're out of position, you need to be a bit tricky sometimes. You can't just only check weak hands and only bet strong hands. So we check. Our opponent bets small. And we're like, okay, let's go for it. Let's check raise. We have kings. He calls. Turn 6 of clubs. There's now a flush. Kings is a lot less strong. Now, if we put in a stack with kings, we probably would not be far ahead, but it's still ahead, right? Our opponent could still have a lower pair with clubs or just a queen. So we bet small. Our opponent makes a small raise, and now we have to instantly reevaluate. Because, like we said, kings, beautiful hand pre-flop, we're way ahead. Great flop, we're way ahead. Dangerous turn, and suddenly our opponent wakes up and he's telling a story of, oh, I have kings beat. I'm raising like this. I probably have something like a flush. And now our beautiful, beautiful kings ran into a situation where it's now playing defense. It's a bluff catcher. It's not such a great hand. So we would call because we can improve to a flush or we can improve to a boat with 2 kings and it's not a big raise. But in your head, the evaluation has to shift. The excitement has to drop. We're now playing in the real world. Kings is not that special given the action and the run out. So we call river ace of diamonds. I think the ace of diamonds makes what was already evident on the turn even more visible. Because even on the turn, our opponent would not have been raising us with just a queen. So the fact that there is an ace there, it drives home the value of your kings is just beating bluffs at this point. So while on the turn we could improve, now it's just beating bluffs. We now lose the bluffs that had an ace, but how many people bluff with an ace? So it didn't change much. It just makes it more self-evident. So we check. Our opponent checks back and we lose to 4-5 suited, and we find out we're actually beat on the flop, believe it or not.
You're watching a video that was pulled from the brand new Lab 2.0 course over on upswingpoker.com. The world's best poker coach, Uri Peleg, has spent the better part of the last year creating a clear learning path to poker mastery. No matter where you're currently at in your poker journey, Lab 2.0 will help you take your skills to the next level and beyond. If you're serious about improving your no limit hold'em game, go check it out. Now, let's get back to Uri.
Cutoff raises, we get out premium kings, we re-raise, he calls, 10-10-9 two-tone board, so we lose to trips, but we are fairly well ahead with kings, and unless our opponent shows us he has trips through his actions, we're going to start building the pot with kings. So we make a small bet, he calls, and we get the turn ace. In this situation, how do you play kings? Well, the only reason there's a dissonance there and the only reason there's a question is the emotional charge kings has and the fact that we expect to win with kings. Because if I asked you, how do you play with something like pocket eights here, you would say check. How do you play with something like, I don't know, jack nine? You'd say check. Now, kings is a bit better than those hands, but it's not that much better. So it can either check or bet small. Those are the options. And if it faces a lot of action, you're going to have a tough decision. And the fact that your hand has two kings is not going to be too relevant anymore. So here we choose to bet small, kind of pot controlling. We're really hoping not to get raised or for our opponent to call and for him to check back the river. Any more money than this going in and we're definitely in trouble. But our opponent folds, and this is a good scenario for kings here, which just shows you how weak kings is, that you bet so small and you really hope he folds. Now we're blind versus blind. We raise kings and we get called. Board comes ace 6-6 rainbow, so immediately we're losing to an ace, we're losing to a 6. Very unexciting situation with kings, and we immediately reevaluate and we say, you know, I have a hand that wants a smallish pot. It doesn't really need protection, so I'm gonna make small bets or just try to check it down, and that's it. So here we check. Our opponent bets small. We're gonna call kings. We check the jack turn. He checks back. We get the 4 river. Now we either bet small, hope he calls with a jack, or we can check, let him sometimes bluff. We decide to check. He checks back with pocket threes, and we win a small pot, which is really the ideal situation with kings on this kind of board. A small pot is the sweet spot once you get a bad board like this, and that's what we would be aiming for. Now, just to wrap up, because kings does sometimes win some big ones, I will show you guys a hand where we actually win with kings. So here we open with kings. 3-bet called 4-bet. Loose players, so we decide to go for a 5-bet with kings. This, again, some people we might even get out of the way, but these are fairly loose players. We get a great board, queen 5-5 two-tone, of course. We are losing to a 5. Our opponent could have something like ace 5 suited or 4-5 suited. We are losing to pocket queens. We're losing to slow played aces. But so much money's in, we can't really worry about that too much. He checks to us. We bet small. He calls. Turn 6 of spades. 2 flush draws. He checks. We bet. He calls. River 7 of diamonds. 6 and 7 don't matter too much given the preflop actions, so we go all in, and our opponent calls us with pocket 10s. And you'll note in this hand, our opponent gave us no reason to think he has us beat at any point, and we played appropriately. Here we re-raise with kings. We get a queen 3-5 two-tone board, so we are losing to some hands, but definitely well ahead. Our opponent leads out, and we decide to raise. He calls. Turn king of diamonds, so we have top set, very dynamic board. Throw in another bet, which gets called. River jack of clubs, so we now lose if he had ace 10 with a flush draw or 10-9 with a flush draw, but certainly well ahead. We go all in and get an unfortunate fold, but yeah, we're going to have some hands like these with kings as well. These are the easy ones to play. Hopefully this helps you with the tougher ones.